Welcome. Well, let's begin this way. The Renewed Hope Mega Farm Estate has been described as a game changer, one that could redefine youth participation in agriculture. But beyond the buzz, what concrete incentives are in place to make farming genuinely attractive for the youth and also productive and, how would I put it now, attractive and profitable for the youths?
All right, thank you so much for having me in the studio today, and good morning, Nigerians. So for me, a very good question, and I must tackle it from this angle. I must give it to the government of the day for coming up with this idea of the Renewed Hope Mega Farming Estates, right? Is it best after sliced bread? What do I mean is the government is being the first risk taker by setting up NAUDA and then recapitalizing BOA and NAGF, structuring them in a way to ensure that they can tackle the epidemic that has been building the agribusiness space today. So what am I saying is we cannot overemphasize the challenges that the Land Use Act of 1978 has brought, which has caused land fragmentation, rural-urban migration, and a whole lot of other challenges. So now, with NAUDA in the forefront, with the task of opening 10 million hectares in 10 years and ensuring that they can also partner with private entities like Adeshola with all our experience to ensure that there's sustainability and continuity. This would help to integrate youth, young women, and the less privileged into clusters of about 5,000 hectares across the 36 states and the FCT. And the partnership is boasting to see to it that we, NAUDA on their own hand, goes ahead to clear the land, because we know there's high cost of mechanization, high cost of clearing land is a burden for private entities. So with NAUDA going ahead to clear the land and partnering with Adeshola as an implementing and the managing partner, we will now come up with the input with the climate smart agriculture, regenerative agriculture, and most importantly, guaranteed offtake. So what the youths, the young women and the less privileged just needs to do is just to come into the clusters where we now give them a minimum of 5 hectares and then ensure that we provide an enabling environment where everything they need to ensure that they produce and also earn sustainably and earn a good living is what Adeshola is going to produce. And at the end of the day, the produce, we are also going to use it to link it up to food bank for the government and also see to it that the multinationals that have before now depended mostly on importation of food, this will be a thing of the past, and we will get closer to food sovereignty in Nigeria.
Okay, good enough. When we talk about agriculture, to the ordinary mind, the first thought is farming. You go to the farm, you till the ground, and you plant your corn or whatever. But Agric is beyond that. It's a value chain. There's the primary production, there's the processing, and there's also the export. And also this government also talked about 30% value addition to whatever we produce before we talk about export. Now, how can we ensure that the young population, you're also a young man, the young population will also see Agric not just as that aspect of tilling the ground, the other value addition process and the export, so that those who can key into the primary production will key in, those who can key into the processing will key in, and how can we make it very lucrative for them to begin to participate in this?
Fantastic question. And then also, right, I must also give it to the president of the day, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, right? If you look across the major sector and the drivers of our agriculture today, look at NADF being headed by Mohammed Ibrahim, look at BOA being headed by Ayo Shotenrin, look at NAUDA being headed by Cornelius Adebayo. These are young people that looks like myself, right? And then the president said he wants agriculture to be sexy. And inherently, if you look at the body language or if you look at what the president is saying silently, he's telling us that he's putting the sovereignty and this food sovereignty of Nigeria into the hands of the young people. He's putting the young people in the forefront to ensure that we can drive production and we can be a net exporter of food in Nigeria. It's instructive. This has never been done before. And young people like myself have been asking for a space on the table, right? We have it. we have to make use of it, and we have to ensure that we deliver and ensure that we are not only self-sufficient in food production, we move from sufficiency to sovereignty and ensure that Nigeria is a net exporter of food to the world. Agriculture has to move from hand, hoe, and cutlass. We have to move to large-scale commercial farming. It's not rocket science, right? We've seen case studies in Peru, we've seen case study in Chile, and in Brazil, right? We have seen that, first of all, before we can transform food system in any country, we have to go into R&D. We see the government policy, and we see development finance coming in, and we see private players, right, coming in. And for me as a person, I say I would rather make do with a consistent bad policy than to go with an inconsistent good policy, right? Now, with the policy of the government and with the way with which they have been pushing for youth empowerment, to incorporate youth into the agribusiness, you will see that once the policy aspect is sorted out, private entities would do what? They would amass finance and see to it that they drive it, and that is where the sustainability is. We cannot continue to depend on only the government to come and solve all the problems. The private sector has a critical role to play, and that is why Adeshola is also putting his skin in the game by providing input, by providing support, by providing extension, by providing climate-smart agriculture to ensure that we catalyze the agribusiness economy. And also, I want to see more young people like myself to take the bull by the horn and see agriculture not as just for feeding yourself, but as a business that can transcend from one generation to another generation and can put us on the map.
Well, I like the fact that you took the conversation towards the president's speech saying that he likes to make agriculture sexy, because Nigeria's export potential is often being undermined by poor processing and packaging standards. Now, this kind of locks out our farmers out of the international market. What is your organization doing to standardize production and certify products for exports competitive in this very competitive market?
Before the advent of Adeshola, I've faced this kind of mind-boggling questions before. But I always say this, like, there's no country without its own problems. However, what are the critical steps we're taking to ensure that we solve these problems and make it a thing of the past? Yes, we hear, oh, there's a aflatoxin problem, there's fumonism problem, there are issues here and there. But however, Adeshola has taken it as a challenge upon itself to train farmers and make sure that we build capacity to be able and also cascade all the necessary requirements down in their local language so that they can understand that, okay, this is what is required, and we can handhold them and ensure that they meet all these requirements. These requirements are not rocket science, right? Nigeria has been a net exporter of cocoa, of groundnuts in the past. What did we do wrongly, right? And what did we do rightly, right? We just need to take it from there and see to it that we cascade down the knowledge, right, down to smallholder farmers, give them certified seeds, give them agronomy, give them climate-smart agriculture, and also give them the necessary channels and the necessary support to see to it that not only are they producing for themselves, they are producing good quality that meets international standards and also meets the needs of the multinationals. And with us doing that, we will see that the agribusiness will be transformed and Nigeria will be in a better place in terms of agriculture on the world map.
Okay, availability of finance is one thing, and access to that finance is a different ball game. We have a lot of financial help coming from government financial institutions and all that. Now, to the young man listening to us this morning, to that youth corps member listening to us this morning that also want to get involved in Agric, how were we able to access finance? Help them understand what they need to put in place to help them, because it's not enough to just say finance is available. How can they access those finance or credit facilities that will help turn around their investment or their going into agriculture?
Fantastic questions. Personally, I say finance should come last. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a value chain of interest to you? How knowledgeable have you immersed yourself into the system to make you understand that Rome was not built in a day, right? However, are you looking for the right knowledge and you're speaking to the right people? Like at Azikinoma, we have a school, or we have where we train other people, other young people, and then we mentor them, we handle them, we support them to ways with which they can also access finance. The government of the day, we have BOI, we have BOA that has just been capitalized by over $1 trillion by the government, and they just also unlocked $1 billion from Afrexim Bank. We have PFIs, there are numerous PFIs and DFIs in Nigeria that are willing to support young people in agribusiness, right? But however, you cannot take a horse to the river and force it to drink water. Our young people need to see agriculture not as an old and archaic way of life. It's a business. It is real, and there's a lot of money to be made there.